himself or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious. So I move.
I read a little bit in Nation of Islam doctrine that says that there's a 6,000-year reign of the white man, basically, and then at a certain point it comes to an end. Is that a view that you subscribe to? And that's
100%.
And that's happening now, maybe.
It is. We believe that the confusion in the white man's governments of the world, jockeying for new world order and economic battles that are going on, the dollar, the euro, that's beautiful. The dollar, the euro, and here with the Sexgate scandal. The white man's world, we feel, is coming to a close. That would look great on the lady. Her name was Valerie.
So this
is a female piece, isn't it, brother? Yeah, this would look beautiful on her, and a complementary male piece that would go along with this. This is the Coogee line.
Her name wasn't Valerie.
No, her name was Phyllis.
Phyllis.
Yeah, Phyllis. The other lady's name was Valerie. Right, you remembered her.
Yeah.
That black woman caught your eye, didn't you?
No. Well, not in a bad sense. She didn't catch your eye.
She didn't catch my eye?
She was distracting you. Your eyes were going like...
Is that what was happening?
Yeah.
Well, it's good that it was a black woman. My eyes wouldn't go like that if it had been a white woman.
Yeah, well, we haven't put that to the test yet.
Well, you can't do it with Leanne, and you can't do it with
Kate.
Kate.
Spin around, get a shot of Leanne and Kate.
You can't do it with your Miss England, Miss London, or whatever. You can't do it with any of them.
Yeah.
I would give them a second look.
Yeah. Fair enough. This is horse skin.
Wow. Skin. That's the baby.
A baby horse?
Yes.
That is not going to go down well in Britain.
Oh, really?
They love
then you
horses.
You shouldn't buy them.
Well,
I love horses more than you do black people.
In Britain?
Yes. It goes down quite well in Britain that you colonized all of certain sections of Africa and built the wealth of England, but you sound so sympathetic over the little pony.
I wasn't trying to make a race issue out of it. Oh, you're giving me such a hard time.
Now, how would I give white folks an easy time?
I don't know.
What about a belt?
Okay.
Let's see what kind of...
Are these horses too? Have you ever seen that before, horse trousers?
No, I haven't.
We have the jacket to go with it.
Would you wear these?
No, sir, I wouldn't wear that.
Why?
I'd rather have some pants made out of the white man's skin. The white man probably killed a little pony, and you're standing here acting like you are amazed because you're interviewing me like I killed a little pony.
I wasn't trying to give you a hard time about the trousers.
But will you admit that white people did it?
I don't know anything about who
well,
made
you know
them.
White, you
There's
know
a good
black
chance that it was.
Oh, he comes from Italy. So
yeah,
right.
the Italian white man is the one who kills.
Well, don't you get
black
upset
people
about the horses now?
And I'm upset about whatever you do.
All right, family, we here. I'm all caught up in the video.
Right?
What's going on? What's going on, family? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of SincereluvdagodCast. And tonight we have another episode of the Black Business Showcase. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us. How you doing tonight, nicely, girl?
I'm good. Excited about our guest, Amanda, to meet this information.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's going to be another hot one. Important topic for real. Important discussion we're about to have. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's what we do here, man. Each and every Wednesday and Thursday on the Black Business Showcase, we bring on different entrepreneurs and business owners, talk about their journey into entrepreneurship. But also, we had a number of nonprofits on as well. You know what I'm saying? People with different causes who are running different operations, to still generate resources to fund and further the cause. whatever it may be. And so tonight is one of those as well. And so we have Amanda Wallace from Operation Stop CPS. And let me tell y'all a little bit more about her real quick before we bring her onto the screen. So Amanda Wallace received her Bachelor's of Social Work from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. With a 10-year career as a child abuse investigator, Amanda worked throughout several counties in North Carolina. While working on the front lines protecting children from abuse and neglect, Amanda simultaneously protected families from the oppressive child protection system. Watching the rights of families decrease and the power of CPS increase, Amanda realized that she had become a silent enforcer of an oppressive system. It was then that Amanda understood the system and the perceived power given to CPS by society. As co-founder of Operation Stop CPS, Amanda now dedicated her life to exposing the corruption of CPS while empowering families with the knowledge that is needed to combat this thing. So, with all that being said, without further ado, I would like to present to you our guest for the evening, Miss Amanda Wallace. How you doing tonight, beloved?
I'm doing good. And you?
There you go. We great. We great. Good to see you.
You too.
Welcome.
Thank
you for
you.
being here with us, for sure, for sure. So co-founder, who's the other founder with you?
Fair Austin. We actually got fired at the same time for writing the Responding Power Guide.
Really?
We stepped into our purpose at the same time.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So cool. That's cool. That's good right there. Because I like to start from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? You take us back to the origin of your journey, how all of this began for you. You know, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you said, I've been in this system for 10 years. And, I was doing the work, I was going out investigating cases, and I feel like I was coming into this awakening. I saw what I was doing, and I just said I couldn't do it anymore. And I got sent to the county attorney's office, and they said that I had violated HIPAA. And I was like, how did I violate HIPAA? I was just trying to help a family. And it was in that moment when I saw that my voice was a threat to this system. Like, if you speak up, you become a threat. And so, I remember calling my mother on the phone, and I said, I'm going to fight back. Like, I'm going to fight back. You're not just going to, make lies, like that I'm not helping families. And so, I did that. I fought back. I was able to keep my job. And then I went out on leave. And, I said I had 3 months. I had 3 months to make a plan of how I didn't have to go back to this system. And so I got a vision board. Like, it was like the biggest board I could find. And, I got some markers, and I just started to etch out how, coming to life. You should have seen how it started. I mean, I had evil eyes, and I mean, it came a long way. It definitely came a long way. But, I said that something had to change. And one of the things that I saw doing this work is that parents didn't know their rights. Like, I was coming to people's houses, and, I'm talking to them about, problems. And then they were just telling me all of their business. Like, they were saying, like, they were telling me everything. And I'm just like, do they not know that I have the power to take away their child? I have the power to take away their child. And so at that moment, the Responding Power Guide was birthed. It was everything that I knew about this system. I put it into a guide because I needed people to get this information quickly. And so that's, kind of how Operation Stop CPS started, with the Responding Power Guide. And, we wrote the book, we launched it, we self-published. And then the day after we launched, we were locked out of our computers, locked out, and we were put on administrative leave. And so after we were put on administrative leave, we had to go in and have a whole hearing to explain that, we hadn't done anything wrong. We simply took information that the system puts everywhere. Like, families don't even know how to go and access this information because it's like hidden. And so we know how to find it. So again, we just put it, we define, we define all of these terms. We explain, the court process and what you need to do. The fact that if CPS doesn't have a warrant, they don't have the right to come in your home. You know, all of these tips that we put into a book. And again, we went to administrative hearing. We explained that, and we were still fired. You know, we were still fired. And, you know, since then, we've just been on the run, trying to educate people on what's going on in this system. And I'll say the day after we were fired, we had the first person that called. And I always say I would not have fought as hard for this family if I was still employed with the system. So I believe in purpose, and I believe in fate, and I believe that everything is aligned. And so as soon as we were fired, the first call came in, which is Zephaniah, which is a 2-day-old baby that was ripped out of his mother's hands at the hospital in Kentucky. Wow. And since then, again, that's how it started. That's how Operation Stop CPS was launched. I remember getting that first call, and she was like, "Is this Operation Stop CPS?" And I kind of had to look at the phone like, "Well, yeah, it is. it is Operation Stop CPS." So that's how we got started. Just, you know, it was birthed out of a need for a solution.
Dope. So, I want to go back, I think, a little bit even further, because, you know, listening to that's something I often wonder with a lot of Black people that work like within law enforcement, that work within government. You know what I'm saying? You see what's going on. You see what's being done to your own people, you know what I'm saying, on a systematic level. And, you know, a lot of people don't have the reaction that you had. So it tells me that there's something more in your background. So there was something that was already inside you that wouldn't allow you to be a part of this. So tell us a little bit more about, you know, where that mindset came from for you to even have that resistance mentality in the first place.
Well, I'll say I've always been resistant to the system, right? I've always my mouth has gotten me in trouble while I've been employed. I will say that. And so, but the issue is that things had gotten significantly worse. When I first started, I felt like I was able to communicate. I was able to have critical thinking skills and like really just talk through things and be an advocate for families. But throughout my 10-year career, I saw like that power was just being stripped away from workers, right? It was just being stripped away. And I've just always been vocal. I've always been vocal. And again, I just got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. Like I just couldn't take it anymore. You get to this point where everybody tells you, well, go talk to leadership. You know, go get on a committee and try to change it. And I did that. I went to the state and I got on, you know, one of the committees, and I just felt like it was a waste of time. Like I brought up the fact that the Black community was being targeted at a much higher rate. That the fact that the resources for communities just wasn't there. That we were going into communities and taking children away and just completely forgetting that they had family. You know, I brought all of these things up and I just felt ignored. And I just could, like, again, I don't like being ignored. I'll say that that's from my background, right? Okay. Is that that's just not what I am. And so again, I believe that as a social worker, I'm a social worker through and through. And it's our job as social workers to see the injustices and be change agents. And so regardless of, you know, my position and if I'm in a system or not, you can't take that away from me. I'm the one that went to school and got the degree. And so what I learned was that it is my job to be a change agent and to speak up for the people that don't have a voice. And so, you know, I definitely feel like, you know, all of my experience, you know, led me to this place. I believe that I was put into a position to learn this system for 10 years to be in a position to take it down.
Right. That's what I was hearing as well.
Right, and you look 12 yourself, talking about 10 years working in this system, and she looked so young herself, like she was like a kid. You know,
I started like straight out. As soon as I got my BSW, I was gone. I was like, I gotta work.
Right. Now, you know, social services, your job obviously is to do what Operation CPS is doing right now, right? So why is it that they're so quick, you know, to, obviously some people have to be taken out of this. Children need to be taken out the home, right? There's real abuse, but sometimes there's an abuse of power, right? So how do you differentiate the two, you know what I'm saying, and make those types of calls when you're called out to these homes?
Well, one, you got to check your bias, right? You got to check your bias and look at the allegations for what they are. Not put in, well, what would I do with my child? is this something that I would do in my home? But simply looking at the allegations and seeing if a child is safe or unsafe. Right. And so when you ask, why is it that this is happening and people and social workers are not doing that? It's because the system was designed to target Black and brown families. If you look at the evolution of this system and you date it back to the 1960s, when it really got, when it really started to target our community, it was when the civil rights movement was going on. Because if you attack a family, you take away something so precious to them, you keep them stuck. Right? Because when it comes to the Black leaders, they were funded by working class Black people that were out here just trying to make a living and wanting something better for themselves. And so the government saw that. And then they developed the child welfare system to be able to come in, dismantle families, and then leave people just stuck. And so it has evolved into all of these policies and procedures that's just kept it going. And so they've trained social workers to do just that, and they just made it look pretty.
That's exactly right. Wow. That's exactly right. That's exactly what's the purpose of dismantling the family structure, because that's the seeds of the grassroots is the family. You know what I'm saying? And so for us being on, especially right, especially during those times, us being so on code, like you said, we were funding our own organizations and all of that stuff, and so they had to disrupt that. And so I never thought about the CPS system, in particular when it came to that. To hear about what the welfare system was doing and things like that, but with the CPS system in particular. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of that, if you know, like how that got started? And
so actually it started because there were some, white women that were worried about a child and they could not get any help or get any support. And they went actually because PETA was developed at the time in regards to trying to save animals. And that's how they were able to get the support of the people to say, well, look, if we could protect animals, we could protect children. Right. And so it might have started as a good thing, but then it has evolved and taken over. I mean, you got to look back at the orphan trains that were coming down, and they were saying that these children were orphans when really they had families. Right. And so now, instead of being orphans, now you're taking children from actual homes that have families. Right. And so, again, it just has evolved. Every time there's a crisis, the child protection system then just morphs itself to deal with the problem that actually they created. But again, it started from some people that had concerns with a child. They went and they got some help from people that were protecting animals. And then that's how they started to just kind of bring this issue to light. But then the government got involved. And anytime the government gets involved, it's a problem. And they were able to draft legislation to fund this operation. And so the federal government passed laws like CAPTA and ASFA that sends money to states to deal with the problem of child abuse and neglect. And so the federal government defines child abuse and neglect, and then they send the money to the states to further define child abuse and neglect and come up with their own laws. So you could be in North Carolina and do something and it be a report. But you could be in California and do something and it not be a report. But you got to remember, you're still in the United States of America. So how is that possible?
Right.
How is that possible when you're supposed to be governed by the same laws? But it's because this problem is completely funded by the federal government and they give the states free reign.
The states' rights thing. Yeah. Yeah. And it basically boils down to I'm white and I say so. You know what I'm saying? That's basically the law. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I know I personally been investigated by CPS twice. There was no findings or whatever the case may be, but just the process of it it's kind of humiliating. You know what I'm saying? You have some strange person come in your house and like Shannon said in the chat, they looking all in your refrigerator, you know what I'm saying? Coming all in the bedrooms, looking in the closets and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Why is it so much easier for Black children to get taken away from their families? Because I know a lot of times, even when there's a real situation where the actual parent might be unfit, whether it's drugs or whatever the case may be, there's usually another family member that's willing to take the children, and they have a harder time getting the child. They rather just put the child into the system.
With a stranger.
Mm-hmm. Well, one is because, I mean, Black children are more likely to be affected by the system. You got to think about schools, right? Where teachers are trained more to report Black children and what they're supposed to be looking for. So that report that comes in has so much power. 53% of Black children will have a CPS report in their lifetime. So just think about that. Over half of our children will be investigated by CPS. And then you send out untrained, and biased social workers to the home. It's a recipe for disaster. And then you put all of these policies that stop people from passing background checks, right? So you have a grandmother that might not have been the best the best mom, right? She had her own stuff. She had a CPS case, but she's an amazing grandmother to her grandchildren. And CPS gets involved, but she can't pass a background check. And now she can't take her grandchildren, even though there's no allegations against the grandmother or anything. And so these checkpoints and these stipulations are what stops our communities from stepping up in those times of needs and being able to step in and take our children.
Wow. And that brings up a good point. I was going to ask that same point. And we have situations where, like, what was her name? Jennifer and Sarah Hart, who had two white, women who had foster kids, Black children, and they had been reported. The children had been going to the neighbors' houses, and, they had called social services many times on these two white females with these Black children, and nothing was ever done. And then they drive their car off a cliff. Now these children are dead. But their family said and came forward and said, we tried to get the kids. They gave us a hard time. We had been, going to court and trying to get them with the aunts, with the grandparents, etc. And they had a hard time getting those kids. Now it's too late.
We got a case here in North Carolina. The mom, she has a termination of parental rights trial on April 11th through the 14th. Her child has been in custody for 2 years, and she has been clean and sober for a whole year. For a year, done a program, and she has 2 other children in her home. We had a meeting. She had more family than they've ever seen in 2 years on that meeting. And she asked, if I have family here, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to, why are you guys trying to terminate my rights? They didn't have an answer. They just said, that's just what we got. It's just the court process.
Why didn't I say so? It's the why didn't I say so?
Is it the family court system?
Yep, family court.
It's family court, yeah.
Juvenile court, but they're all connected. Family court.
Juvenile court. I'm trying to think, because I think in New York it might be a little different.
Okay.
I think those are separate courts, and from my experience in New York, the juvenile court, I think it might coincide though. You might be right though, because when you have like juvenile delinquent cases or whatever, that does fall under family court situations. So where kids get sent to like group homes and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it is the same. But oh, you freezing up?
I was going to say sometimes the group homes or the foster cares are not as, any better. I know personally people who have been in foster care on and off for many years. They experienced molestation, from the people that were supposed to care for them. And the only thing they ever did was take them out of that home, put them somewhere else, but they never put that person in jail. And this person is still able to operate a foster care system. And still, deal with children, so where's the accountability with that? I understand if there's an unfit parent, but what about the foster care workers, right, who take an oath, I'm assuming, not you, but the foster homes, go through background checks, and they're being reported and they're allowed to operate with allegations, multiple allegations.
Because there's no real oversight, and that would take away from the narrative that foster parents are great and that foster parents are needed, right? You don't want that getting out, even though children are dying in foster care. like you said, children are being molested in foster care. I mean, you can look at any news station and see that this is what's happening in this system, but the government just turns a blind eye, or they'll come up with a great reform effort that doesn't really change anything.
What's the difference between foster parents and like adoption?
So the foster parent, like they're still in foster care.
I think you're delayed on your side. Your screen is kind of freezing up nicely, and you're responding kind of late. Yeah.
But I was saying, like the foster parents, the child is still in foster care, and so for the like adoptive parent, the parents' rights have been terminated, and now that child is like theirs at that point. Like there's like they changed the birth certificate. Like those are those people's child at that point.
Okay, got you. So the foster parent is like a long-term babysitter in a lot of cases.
Pretty much, they get paid, right? They get paid significantly to take somebody else's child and treat them like theirs, but that's actually not what's happening.
Yeah, what kind of oversight is there to make sure that the child is being, properly cared for and everything?
Not a lot. I know in North Carolina, you only have to see a child in a foster home once a month. Once a month, you get to you go see a child. But if a parent gets investigated, you got to see them once a week, every other week. But you take a child out of the home and you put them with strangers, and you only got to check on them once a month.
And there's no like a third party child advocate, like somebody whose specific job is to advocate for the child.
So in some places they have what's called guardian ad litem. Some states call them like CASAs, but they don't really advocate for children. And I mean, I'm not going to say that there's not some in the system that might have a child's best interest at heart, but these people are volunteers that get trained by the system to think that the child needs to be in foster care. And so that's the lens that they look at, like they look through, is to feel like this child needs to be here. And I mean, I've seen some guardian ad litem reports, and I'm just like, first of all, you haven't talked to the parent. How do you know what's best for a child if you haven't spoken to the parent, right? And then, I mean, some of them say, well, the child needs to stay in the foster placement or get adopted because now they're bonded with the foster parent. Well, what about the bond they have with their actual parents and family?
And the reason why they're no longer bonded with their parent is because they've been removed, and a child needs love, hugs, and attention. That's what they're, there to receive. So anyone that's nice to them, or they feel, is nice to them, of course they're going to receive that, from anyone. But it's unfair to say they bonded when you've taken the bond away from the person they should be bonding with, and haven't allowed them, how often do they allow the mothers or fathers to visit the children while they're in foster care? What is the minimum?
So right now, and I know in North Carolina and a lot of other states, is 1 hour a week supervised. Like that's like the first thing when your child gets taken into custody, is 1 hour a week supervised. Even for like babies, new mothers just have their child, they get to see them once a week
for an hour. For an hour. And you think about parent-child interactions and attachment. How do you truly, bond with your child in an hour? Being supervised. It's some states they have like the one-way mirrors that they're looking at families behind the mirror. They sitting outside with the door open. Like it's baby jail. Like that's what we call it. It's literally jail for children. Word. And now to be a foster parent, like if I wanted to, take some foster kids, what kind of qualifications do I have to meet? And, what kind of background checks do they do on people for that?
So you have to go through training. It's a couple weeks, right? And then it teaches you how to be a parent. I guess that's what they're trying to teach people. And then you have to do fingerprinting. You have to do background checks. They looking for like the sex offender registry. They come out and do a home visit. You got to show your financials in some situations. So they do like a thorough background check in some situations, because we have definitely seen situations where they haven't. But that's what's supposed to happen.
Okay. And so once I'm approved and everything, I get the children in my home. Is there like any stipulations? Like, is it required for me? Because I know a lot of times you're going to be dealing with children that have mental health issues and things of that nature. Is it required to make sure that they get in mental health treatment, any type of counseling or anything like that? Is that mandatory or no?
So it depends, right? It depends on the situation. And it's in most cases, it's really not up to the foster parent. When I was working in the system, we were taking kids to the therapy appointments. We were picking kids up and taking them to school. So even though this person is paid to take care of this child and treat them like their own child, the social worker was actually the one making sure that these needs were being met. Because if the foster parent says they can't do it, CPS is obligated to do it. But I mean, they like for foster parents to be able to, take kids to their therapy appointments, and some foster parents do. But there was a lot of foster parents that passed the buck to the social worker and said, I can't do it.
Peace to the family. We see y'all in the chat. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel, please, and click the notification bell so you can be reminded when we go live with new content. We are here chopping it up with Miss Amanda Wallace from Operation Stop CPS. We're having a good conversation so far, so I definitely hope y'all hit that like button. One of our moms from the chat wanted to know earlier, going back to your personal story, what was the grounds for the HIPAA violation that they gave you?
So there was a family, the child had a fracture, right? And I was able to talk to the verbal children in the home, and they were saying that they were holding their brother and they dropped him, right? It's an explanation that was observed. But my leadership wanted to put this child through like 20 something more fractures, and 20 more x-rays to try to prove something that wasn't there. And so I went and had a relationship, because I have a relationship with the child abuse doctor that's on the team. And so I shared the medical records because we have a memorandum of agreement and we regularly do that. And so when I shared the medical records and the family was okay with that, the doctor agreed and said that this was accidental and that the child did not need any additional follow-up. Well, my director did not agree with that and said that I was trying to search for I was trying to get the doctor to say something against her, and she just used that to go and say that it was a HIPAA violation. Even though
somebody don't say so.
Right, exactly. Right. But one thing, you guys say that white and I say so, but at the same time, a lot of times in this system, they employ African Americans to do their dirty work, right?
Talk about
because
that.
It's that black on black crime, right? It's that black on black. If you sit here and it's like, well, no, I understand what they're going through. Like, no, I wouldn't do that. I know my people. And so it kind of puts the blame, right? And it takes the blame off of the system, and it makes it look like it's not racist when it is.
Right. Right. That's strategic. That's warfare. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's why we do a lot of the work that we do on this channel. Go ahead. There's a delay on your side.
Oh, I was going to say that's what I don't know what's going on. We always talk about that here, how when we talk about the crime bill, how they always like to say, well, it's the Black leaders that want it. We went to your churches. We went to the Black pastors. Remember, they're the ones who told us to sign it. We didn't do it because we wanted to. It was your Black leadership. So they take it off of themselves and put it on, the Black faces in high places. And we know that game already.
Right.
Exactly. That's the same point I was going to make, but I knew you was going to be more specific. You got a better memory than me.
Because you know what, I was looking at, obviously going through your Instagram and stuff like that over the past few weeks, and it was a situation with a girl that was taken out of her mother and stepfather's home, and you also posted the report from the social worker. And I guess they interviewed the child, asked her questions, and on her report, she put nothing was wrong. Yet she still took this child out the home because she had a beef with the mother, some situation like that. Like, how do you, or why are you allowed to do something? Because this person may have said something that hurt your feelings or made you mad. You're coming into a parent's house, they're emotional, right? So they're gonna probably say something that you don't like, but you don't
Right.
take it personal as a social worker. Your job is again to be non-biased,
Mm-hmm.
investigate. If there's no abuse, there's no abuse.
Is that this same story right here? Zephania?
No,
Or is that?
Zephaniah. That's the
Let me tell you
2-day-old
what
baby that was taken back in May.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you can respond to her.
Yeah, I mean, because
this one is in Pasco County, Florida.
yeah, Matea, where the mom just wanted her attorney to be present,
Matea.
and the worker told her she was gonna be the next Black B to lose her kid because she didn't comply, and that worker's still employed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because social workers have so much power. They have power to go out to someone's home. Well, it's the perceived power that they have to go out to somebody's home, and their word alone, it just is gold. Like the one child that I took into custody that I know should not have gone into custody, and this was around the time that like I said, I was coming into my awakening, and like I said, I knew that this child shouldn't have gone into custody. I fought tooth and nail to try to make this child not go into custody. But the worker that I was passing the case to saw a problem. And so if one worker says that it's a problem and now it's their case, now all the work that I was trying to do to keep this child in the home, it goes to waste because now somebody has a different opinion of the same situation. And it's sad. It's sad because during my administrative hearing, when I got fired, that child was living in the building. And that's when I knew that I was supposed to be here because she walked by and I knew she was living on a cot, in a building when I knew she had a home to go to. Children are literally being bounced around from house to house with no placements. And people think that this system is protecting children and nice. It's not. It is violent. It is only here to dismantle families.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
Well, blessings to you. I am so proud of you for seeing this and saying, no, we're going to do something different. I'm not going to allow myself to be indoctrinated by this system, and pull families away from their children if you can prevent that from happening. So I just salute you for, doing what you're doing, you and your co-worker who were fired together, sadly, but,
Yeah.
this is so needed across the board. And I also saw on your channel how there's a link there that says join the movement. What is the join the movement?
So join the movement is for people that see this problem and want to be the solution, right? Because the solution is not just Operation Stop CPS and social workers that, know what's wrong with the system and know how to combat it. But the movement is lawyers. Right. The movement is doctors.
Mm-hmm.
The movement are people that, have skills that want to bring it to the movement. And so that's why we ask, well, what talents and abilities can you bring to the movement? You could be for the podcast, right, to be able to raise awareness. If you have graphic design skills, because we are always posting and trying to, raise awareness. So that's what join the movement is to be able to join the movement and get in it and figure out what we can do together. How can we work together to take this system down? Because it's going to be our collective energy that that's going to this movement and going to this system that's going to actually make a change and make a difference.
So what's the process for people once they click that button? What happens next?
So they click the button, they fill out the questionnaire, it be as detailed as possible so we know what you bring to the movement. And then we'll contact you to set up a Zoom to be able to just talk more about it. And again, because we are a movement against the government, so we have to be very intentional about who we allow in, right? Because we know there's some ops, right, that try to come into a movement. So that's why we have the Zooms to be able to meet people, see, what they're talking about. And then, we just figure out how we go from there and what they bring. Because we don't want to tell people, what their talents and abilities are. What are your talents and abilities and how can we work together?
Right. Yeah, definitely got to have a good vetting system in place to make sure you're not bringing on no riffraff,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And also
That COINTELPRO, right?
Right.
Back in the day.
that part.
Yeah.
And you guys recently had the Black Mother March on March the 8th, right? How was that? What was that about? I know it's about awareness and stuff like that, but can you give us some insight on what that was for the people that don't know Black Mother March that happened on March 8th?
So it's actually on May 8th, Mother's Day. So it hasn't happened yet. So it's on May 8th. Yeah,
Okay.
May 8th. So it'll be our first march in Washington, D.C. And so it's significant because it's on Mother's Day, where and so many mothers will not be able to be with their children because they're in foster care. And so instead of being home, instead of being sad, instead of just, not understanding why you're in this space, we're calling all mothers, to Washington, D.C. to stand with us and just to be around this energy of people that are determined to make a difference. And then we're going to all come together. We're going to have some mothers that have been affected by this system. We're going to have children that's been affected by this system speak life. Speak life into people. And then we're going to march to the White House to let these people know that we're not taking it no more, right? We don't, however many people we need to bring here to make a difference, we'll do it every single year to be able to make a difference. So yeah, May 8th, Washington, D.C. People can register at blackmothersmarch.com. Again, that's blackmothersmarch.com. And just go on there and register. And I know that the name of it is Black Mothers March, but any mother of any nationality and race can come. But we want to be very clear that, the government has targeted our families for far too long, and it is going to be us in the front lines that's going to have to take this down.
Amen to that.
And I love that. I just love the movement itself, and the awareness. This is not something I've heard of before, so anyone in the DC area or surrounding areas, if you guys can, make sure you register, make sure you show up and support, this cause because it's needed. Our children need to be at home with their loving parents. The parents want their children, and it's up to us to bring our families back together. So May 8th, 2022, make sure you tap into blackmothersmarch.com and register.
Yes.
I think that's fly, that concept, that idea, what I'm saying, it shows that you guys are, thinking outside the box, trying to come up with different ways, not only to raise awareness, but also to bring, some semblance of relief and peace of mind to people who are actually going through this and getting them, in a community, into a village of people that they can relate to that's going through, similar things.
Yeah,
so I think
I was gonna say it's a couple of Black-led organizations that's putting this march on, like ANWO, the African National Women's Organization, is a part of this, the Life Recovery Project. And so we're all just coming together to say, something's got to change. JMAC for Families is in New York, and she's been in this fight for years trying to take this system down. Movement for Family Power out of New York as well. And so again, we're just bringing our collective energy to understand that it's got to be Black-led. This has to be Black-led when it comes to our people. And we just got to do it. We just got to do it.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And, I respect that you guys are centering the mothers, because I know, majority of the time it's a single mother that's going through this. You know what I'm saying? In your personal experience, or even situations that you heard of, how often is it that there's two parents at home and the children get taken away?
Well, I will say, like you said, the single mothers is who they target. But I mean, you'll see, every now and again that there'll be.
Let me say where it's unwarranted though, where there's no abuse or anything like that that's really going on, and there's two parents at home and the kids still get taken away.
Still in the Black community, even two-parent households are still targeted. They're still targeted. And so I've definitely seen it, even with two parents. Now, again, it's more likely for single mothers because that's who the system targets. But two-parent households are not safe from this system as well.
Wow.
Here, I see a lot of situations where they age out the children out of foster care. A lot of times at 17 here in California. 17 years old. What does a 17-year-old know? And even to me, 18, you're 18, now you're an adult, an
Mm-hmm.
adult with no skills, perhaps either going to graduate high school or not out of high school yet, or even if you graduated, you're still trying to find yourself, you know. So I find that kind of problematic. 18 years old and just pushed out. They don't give them any resources a lot of time either. So how do you guys transition, say, an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old that has aged out of the system? What resources are there for them?
So when it comes to this, again, for the system, like you said, there's nothing because they don't have any attachments to any family. And so that's what we're trying to build, is this community of people that are able to, just be that makeshift family for people. Teach kids, because I think at 17, you're still a kid, right? But teach kids like just those basic skills about, paying bills, right? How to find housing, how to find a job. I remember I was having a
Hmm.
conversation with a
Right.
mom, one of our moms, Ashley, who had her 5 children taken away, and she grew up in the foster care system. And we were just talking, and she was just like, nobody taught me this stuff. Nobody taught me what to do or how to be. I just was kind of thrown out here. But that's by design, because if you don't teach somebody how to be an adult, if you don't teach somebody how to, be in this world, then when they have children, how do they teach their children? Right. And then those children now become victims of this system, because now they're being over policed, because now they know that this person has history. So that's what we're trying to create, is this community of people that if you age out of the system, that you're able to, just have some support.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's cyclical in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because, even, apart from, this whole foster system structure and all of that, a lot of kids, man, even that grow up with their regular parents at home, don't
Mm-hmm.
get those basic skills. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times parents just leave it up to the schools to teach their kids everything. And the schools, what I mean, they don't do none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Basic things like banking and handling your
Mm-hmm.
taxes, and you know what I'm saying? Stuff that you're going to have to deal with in the
Right.
real world as an adult. It's not taught in schools. And so a lot of times parents don't teach it either.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we all need to be aware of and be on top of. What are some of the things that parents should know if they find themselves in a situation where they're under a CPS investigation, like do's and don'ts when these people show up to your house?
Well, first, you should not engage with Child Protective Services until you know the allegations. So CAPTA, which is the federal law, requires, right? So because CPS will tell you that they don't have to, but the CAPTA requires for the child welfare investigator to tell you the allegations that are alleged against you, because you cannot start to defend yourself until you know what you are defending against. And so on that phone call, I would ask specifically to read it verbatim. What are the allegations against me? And then contact an attorney. That is what we are telling people, to contact an attorney. If you could get a free consultation, just to be able to speak to somebody to get some legal advice. And if, and sometimes, we're trying to change the system, and there's not a lot of attorneys that's really, for people. But, if you are able to speak to somebody, we definitely would recommend that. But then don't let them in your house. Speak to them outside. And only address allegations. Don't tell them that sometimes you party and you do, don't stop. We got to stop talking, y'all. We have to stop talking. If you do not listen to anything else tonight, please stop talking to CPS, because we are digging ourselves in ditches that we can't get out. Right? We have to stop talking to CPS. They are not your friends.
It's the
They are not your,
police.
huh?
I said it's the police, y'all.
It's
the
police. They
police.
are the police.
Right.
They
Same
are the
protocol.
friendly police. The friendly police. They come out and they, hey, how you doing? That's why they would send me out, because I just talked to you. Like, come on, what you mad at me for? But it's the training. That's how they train you. And so do not speak to CPS. If they don't have a warrant, don't let them in. Again, if you and make sure that you have your friends, your family, like call your tribe. If CPS calls you, call your people and have them at the house. Bring as many people as you can to that location so that they know they got to go through them in order to get to you and your kids. And so that's like one of the things of making sure that you call your tribe, call your help. It's the stigma, right? That, if you get a CPS case, you've done something wrong. So many people don't tell their friends and family what's going on because of that stigma. But, we gotta erase that. Like, if you need help, call somebody, because what you don't want to happen is them to take your children and then you trying to play catch up with letting people know what's going on. And know your laws. Know your laws in your state. If you go to the Child Welfare Gateway, you can look up every law in any state, right? You can look up any law and you can look at what abuse is. You can look at what neglect is. You can look at what dependency is. And then you need to refer to the allegations to see first if it even meets the definition. Because if it doesn't meet the definition, you do not need to engage. Tell them you'll meet them in court. Because the only thing you need to prove is to the judge that the allegations don't meet. So we got to start stepping into our power. If it doesn't meet the allegations, I'm not talking to you. Like, I'm not going to talk to you because these are my kids and they're safe. You got to stand on safety. If your children are safe, do not be scared to go to court. They scare you with that. Oh, I'm gonna take you to court, or I'm gonna, do X, Y, and Z. Well, do it. That's what, do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just do it, and then we'll see what happens. But the only thing that they can do to take you to court is to get a judge to order you to do what they say. And you just got to roll the. Just look. Okay, until a judge tells me to do it, I'm not doing it.
Right. What do you say to people that
false allegations? Go ahead.
What was that?
No, I was saying that a lot of times there's no case. There's a lot of false allegations. So say there's a breakup, right? Mm-hmm. And one is mad at the other, so they call social services just to be petty. Now you open up this can of worms, and another person has to fight to prove something that's not even there.
Yep. And that's the thing with our people. Like, we got to stop calling the government, y'all. Like, we really have to stop calling CPS and using it as like a weapon. We weaponize this. We've allowed them to put this into our communities, and then we weaponize it against each other.
Right.
Facts.
Just like the crime bill.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But what do you say to some of your detractors? People might say, "Oh, you're being ridiculous. The system is here to help kids, and you're making it seem like they're being kidnapped. What are we supposed to do? There's kids being abused in their homes. Shouldn't we have something in place to help those kids?"
So what I would say, if they say, well, why are you saying children are kidnapped? I would send them to our page and look at Operation Bring Zephaniah Home to see this woman that had just labored to bring life into this world, get her 2-day-old baby snatched from her hands because they said that she was impolite. I would send them to see the brown. Go ahead. What'd you say?
She was not polite.
Yes, they said she was impolite. She was impolite after giving birth. So that was grounds to take her child. She wasn't nice to the nurses. Or to look at the Brown siblings, who the mom just went around the corner and her children were asleep, and a neighbor called and they came and took her children away, and she had to fight for months to get them back. And so what I would say also is that I've been in this system for 10 years, and abuse and neglect is not as common as they want to put on. That we are not out here just beating our kids and need this $1 billion, $1 trillion system to continue to operate. It's a guys, like it's not true. It's not true, y'all. It's not true.
Historically, we raised and nursed their children, so I know it's not true.
Right. It's not true that this is needed. And first of all, if you look at the statistic that the government puts out, over 2 million children receive CPS investigations that the allegations didn't even meet the definition of abuse and neglect. It was just a family assessment. Somebody called and had concerns, and now they go out and assess the home. But the crazy part is hundreds of thousands of children then went into foster care and it didn't even meet abuse and neglect. Like, that's a problem. That is a problem.
And so, like I said earlier, I've had CPS come to my house twice. So, is there some type of record? Is there like some strikes against me now?
Yeah, I mean, it's called the Central Registry. And so every report that you have, it goes into the Central Registry, and like you could get your name pulled up. And they do use history against people. They do use history against people. Yeah. And so that's why that needs to be abolished as well. If they didn't find anything, they shouldn't be able to find a record of what happened.
Right. Right, because there was no findings either time. It was like,
right.
Oh, good. And
you got to think about, even with it's called the responsible individuals list here in North Carolina. Something could happen and the police not, do anything or charge you because there's not enough evidence. But CPS can find that you have done something wrong and put your name on a responsible individuals list, and then you can't work in a daycare. You can't work with children. Like, it's crazy, right? Because the burden of proof for CPS is so much lower because they don't really have to prove nothing.
Wow, yeah, that's like the equivalent of somebody called the police on you, but nothing happened. You ain't get arrested, no charges was against you or nothing, but you still have something on your record that says, police showed up to your house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that could be held against you in the job market and housing and all of these different areas that could have an effect on your life. That's crazy.
Without even really being charged. Someone looked, saw there was nothing, but it follows you forever.
Follows you forever.
Is there a way to get that expunged, I guess, or nothing you can do? You know what I'm saying?
You find a really good attorney, yes, and there are ways to try to get your name off of it. But yeah, I would definitely contact an attorney for that.
I was on one of your lives maybe a week and a half or so ago, and you actually had an attorney on there, and you guys were talking about, situations like this, get an attorney, right? But you are also speaking about getting the right attorney, because sometimes, even if you pay for an attorney, not necessarily a public defender, but a lot of times when people are paying for the attorney, that attorney is there for the money, not necessarily right to help you. So can we talk about how people can kind of vet attorneys if they're ever put in this situation? What should they look for when getting an attorney?
Well, the first thing is, does your attorney believe you? Right? Because nobody should be fighting for your rights that does not believe you. And so having a conversation with them and helping them understand what your situation is. Also, like, what's their track record? Look it up. Look it up, go into groups and look at their reviews and see what other parents are saying about them. And then also, how do they perform in court? Right. And sometimes you can't see that until they represent you in that first time that you go to court. But do they have a voice? Do they just let it happen and not say anything? Do not be afraid to fire your attorney. Don't be afraid to fire your attorney and get someone else. But again, how much work are they going to put in, and how much work do you see them putting in to fight for your interests? Are they prepping you for trial? Are they asking the right questions? Are they asking you for documentation? Do they come to your house to see your home so that they can properly, talk about, your living environment? So what is, like, how, trust your gut. If you don't feel right with this person, do not allow them to speak on your behalf in one of the most important, fights of your life.
Right. I remember you guys saying that too, making sure that the attorney actually comes to your house. You're not gonna come, have me come to your office or do it on a Zoom call.
Right.
Like, you need to come in here and really see what's going on so you can thoroughly fight for me.
Right. And then, one big thing, if you haven't done anything to your child and they're telling you to do a case plan, that's a red flag. Right? Like, that is a red flag, and that shows.
My question. I wrote case plan on my question. I was going to ask you about that. Good one.
Okay, there you go. So if they are telling you to go do a case plan, then more than likely they are trained by the system and they do not see the injustice if they just telling you to follow the plan.
What exactly is that case plan?
So a case plan is like a contract. I say it's a contract. It's a negotiation to get your child back. So anytime a child comes into custody, or even if they're not in custody, but the CPS is involved, they'll develop a case plan to tell you what you have to do to get your child back. So if you have to go to like mental health services, if you have to go do drug screens, if you have to some of it is employment. Like employment is on a case plan. Even though you haven't had any issues taking care of your child, they'll say you have to get and maintain a stable employment and housing. So all of the check boxes that you have to complete to get your children back go on a case plan.
Gotcha.
But one thing I want to tell people is that until a judge orders you to complete services, you are not obligated to complete any services. It's been this thing that they've put on people to say, well, it looks better if you've already done this when you get to court. But we got to understand that these services is also funded by the government. That's why they do it. I mean, you can never prove that somebody has done something to their child, but they've gone to like 15 drug screens. They've gone to all these classes. It doesn't make any sense. Like Miss Matea, the mom in Florida, she was like they call and they call a color, and within like an hour you got to drop everything that you're doing and go and get drug tested. Mind you, substance abuse is not her issue, but she still got to do substance abuse services.
It's making you jump through hoops. And why would you agree to go through all of these things if you're saying you didn't do anything? You know what I'm saying? If you're saying, my children are not being abused, my children are well taken care of, why am I going to get treatment for anything?
Because they dangle the children over your head. If you do this, we'll give you your kids back faster. Yeah,
I see what the play is on their part, but I'm just saying, the mind fuck that they running when they're telling you this is going to make it look better for you.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, how's that going to make it look better for me? That looks like I'm kind of admitting that I have a problem. You know what I'm saying?
That's also emotional abuse in a way, right? To hold stuff like that over a parent's head who hasn't done anything. And the social worker, I'm sure in their hearts know that they haven't done anything either. They're just, doing their job, if you will. But that's a form of emotional abuse to me.
Like even Miss Sellers, the baby that was taken at 2 days old, they're making her do like a full psychological evaluation. Like she had to do parenting. She's got to do 24 weeks of what I guess I call it colonization classes of being how to be colonized into this into America and like how to calm down. I mean, it's ridiculous, and she didn't even do nothing.
Now, with your organization, when you guys are helping these families out, are you able to advocate in court and stuff like that, like go through the process and, kind of not be the legal team, but, represent the families in a way when they're going through these processes, trying to get their kids back?
Yeah. So, if the judge does not kick us out, or arrest us, because we got arrested when we went to Kentucky, then we're able to sit in the courtroom and help families, and really just, we help them prep. Because one of the big things, especially with some of the families that we're seeing, is them going pro se. Now, these are people that have never been attorneys, don't know nothing about the courtroom, but they got to figure it out. And so for us, it's trying to help them step into their power and, getting questions together to ask, the witnesses, being able to get their opening statements together. Now, mind you, I'm a social worker myself. I've never had any legal training, but again, I just figure it out. It just comes to you when you got to do it. But one of the things that I'll say is that having the support of the community sitting behind you, it gives you so much power. Again, I'll go back to Ashley here in North Carolina. I remember the first time we walked into court with her, she was shaking. I mean, she was shaking. But to see her at the end when she got her kids back, sit up there and that judge say she was one of the best advocates for her children that she's ever seen, like that's what we do. We are able to turn to take, parents that might be scared to fight and let them know that they are the only ones that's going to fight for their kids, and just help them, just give them the words and give them the power and the courage to, you know, to do that. And yeah, that happens in the courtroom, but a lot of it happens outside of the courtroom, like we, you know, prepping in the back end, and then you just show up and do the job.
So what's the ultimate goal for you guys? Like, you know, everything that you're doing, I completely understand, you know what I'm saying? And I believe that is absolutely necessary, but is there a next level to where you guys can
call on me because I cussed her out.
Say it again.
I said, I'm glad the nurse that helped deliver my son didn't call on me because I cussed her out. So, like, my first one, I was good. The second one was, you know, a little hard. I felt everything. So, yeah, she got, you know, the business. And she told me, she was like, I know you don't mean it. You know, she was just still calm.
Right, she was like,
right. But is there a next step to getting you guys, you know, established as an organization that is kind of like a go-to organization that is being referred within the system? It's not within the system, but you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. And so when we first started, we were kind of like in every state, anywhere there was a need, we were there. But now, as we've kind of seen what parents need, we are now starting our chapter in North Carolina. So it'll be an Operation Stop CPS chapter here, where people will be able to call if CPS is knocking on their door, or if their children have been taken, to be able to get assistance from a social worker. And then we're also trying to partner with attorneys to be able to have a hotline for families to be able to call. And so we want to be able to have an Operation Stop CPS chapter in every state. But that is manned by also parents who have gone through this system and have turned to activists. But yeah, we want to be a household name, just like CPS is. So you know CPS and you know Operation Stop CPS. You know the people that's going to stop them from coming to your house, because our ultimate goal is to abolish the system of child protection. We don't want kids to be unsafe, but we want community control. We want community control. We want to bring the grandmas back. We want to bring the aunties and the uncles back. The people that are actually responsible for child safety, not the government, because they are not. A system is never supposed to raise children.
Man, I love it.
So with that being said, you know, how can the viewers support these efforts? You know, the viewers support Operation Stop CPS. I know there's a donation page, so can we talk about that?
And by the way, I was trying to pull up the site. It's not coming up for some reason. I'm not getting it over here. Can somebody drop the link? One of the admins, can y'all drop the link to her website so I can pull it up?
So one thing is the Responding Power Guide, right? Is on our website for purchase. It's an ebook, and also you can get the paperback on Amazon. And so again, we specifically did this for a reason, to be able to get this information out quickly. And all of the proceeds for the Responding Power Guide go to helping us move on the ground. Also our merch, right? The Operation Stop CPS t-shirts and hoodies. I mean, we got a mug. Like, it's just all of these things that we are trying to build our brand. And so we just want to ask for that support. And like you said, you know, it is a donation, but it is also an investment. That's what we call it. We call it an investment into our communities. Instead of investing in the government, we have to reinvest our money into organizations that are actually on the ground doing the work to protect our families.
All right, cool.
Grassroots, y'all. We always talk about the power of the grassroots. As our sister Vicky Dillard says, power comes from the ground up, right? So we have to support these grassroots organizations so that we can bring power to those organizations and we can fight the system from within.
And we got to get y'all some respect. We got to get some respect on y'all name in these courtrooms, because we can't have y'all out there getting arrested. What kind of charges did they try to put on y'all?
Look, so we got contempt of court, and we never even went into the courtroom until we got arrested. I was like, how did I get contempt of court? I've never even been in here. Like, I mean, they called us into the courtroom to arrest us, and then we got breach of confidentiality in a juvenile proceeding because we had posted the body cam of the baby being ripped out of Miss Sellers' hands, and she said that wasn't allowed, is to post that. I mean, they took our phones, laptops, no warrant, took all our stuff. It took me like a month to get my stuff back, and we stayed in jail for 29 hours. And on $2,500 bond. It was the first time in my life that I've been arrested. But I said, I tasted it, and I promise you I'm gonna fight like hell to take this system down now. You shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't have done it.
Right.
They messed with the right one, right?
They did. They did. I was sitting in there. I tell you, I was sitting in there, and I had to sleep. Like I had to sleep because I felt like a caged animal in there. But I could sleep because I knew that he was working. Right? I knew the creator was working, that he was going to get me out, and that enough people knew that this was going to be a problem because nobody even knew what was going on. They took all our stuff, but luckily it was somebody that showed up. It was one person that showed up for the protest, and she came back and was able to get the word out. Like it was all divine, but yeah. But yeah, so that's Fuel the Movement. On our website, again, we want to get these guys out to people, passing them out into communities, being able to teach what it truly means to respond in power and really step into our power and not just let this government just do whatever to us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And so this is OperationStopCPS.com, family. This is how we can support. This is how you could donate or get your merch, or, you know what I'm saying? At least just follow the page, share it out, spread the word. That's free 99 right there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we share. Let somebody know that. Let somebody know, that this is, we are coming for this system, right? And we need as many people to do that. Right now, tomorrow we have court in North Carolina for a mom who just went to the hospital with her child, and her child was taken, even though she had family support. And then in Florida, March 22nd, for Matea, and then the Brooks twins on April 4th in Ohio. And then back to North Carolina, April 11th through the 14th. So we will be busy. So again, we welcome any investments into our work so that we can keep going.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. I will definitely be making my investment after the show.
Thank you.
I'll be making an investment, and I encourage everyone else to make an investment. This girl is out here hitting the pavement for babies, right? Because although they didn't come out of us, they're still our babies.
Yes. Yeah.
So I have a personal question for you. I can imagine that this line of work can be very draining, traumatizing at times, you know what I'm saying, on your mental health, you know what I'm saying, being so passionate about what you do. What type of things do you do to debrief? And also, how do you feel that this work aligns with your God-given purpose?
So what I'll say is my wife does yoga, and that is so helpful to me. When I get stressed out, she'll make me do some type of pose to get back in line. And so that I like to walk and just get outside, just be in nature, just take a break at times. But yoga, talking to my family and just really just trying to check out. And it's gotten better, because when I first started, I was just in it, like I was just going, like not sleeping, like it just had to. I mean, if I didn't do it, who else would, right? And so, but now again, understanding that this is not a sprint but a marathon, right? Because I'm gonna be at this for some time, trying to take this system down. And so just being more intentional about doing some self-care. But yoga is my thing right now. And in regards to my guide, I believe that I was supposed to learn this system, and I don't know if I curse on here, so I'm gonna say this.
Nah, you good. Nah, say what you gotta say. Say what you gotta say.
Yeah.
But I feel like the worst thing that they could do is teach a field nigga how they do it in the big house, right? And so I done been in there, I done learned their system, and now I'm out to tell everybody out here how to take this system down. It's not hard. We just got to be able to apply the knowledge in different situations. I could look at the same petition that they look at and tell you why it's wrong. And so I know that that ability to do that is my purpose. It's my purpose. I learned this for a reason, and it's for my people. It's definitely for my people.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Everybody can't do it. Everyone is not designed for this type of work.
It's
I
not
have
right.
other friends, that, are activists, and, I talk to her all the time, just to debrief her. Sometimes she just wants to break down, and it's not something that's happening to her personally, but the people that she's fighting for. And in her case, it's children as well.
Yeah.
Not a social worker though, but yeah, and everyone is not built. She always tells us, she's been on the show before, they started with this many, parents to fight this fight, and it's only two left fighting the fight. When it gets real, when it gets dirty, everyone's not built to stand.
It's not. It's not. And it's always good to have a good cry, right? Sometimes you gotta let it out, because it's secondary trauma. And it's secondary. You take on so much, because in order to build up these parents, in order to fight, you gotta give it to them. And it takes so much of yourself in order to do that. But after you give to other people, you gotta remember to fill your own cup. You definitely gotta fill your own cup.
Well said. What do you need people to know that we didn't think to ask you in this interview?
Y'all ask real good question. I think y'all got
everybody say that. Shout out to the GodCast.
Right. I think y'all got it.
That's good.
So.
And so you talked about some of the things you guys got coming up. Definitely everybody make sure that y'all following her at Operation Stop CPS on Instagram. It's the same on all platforms?
Yes.
You mainly active on Instagram, or you
Instagram,
on Twitter like that?
Facebook as well. It's Operation Stop CPS on Facebook as well. But yeah, Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, and then also y'all check out the blog on our website. Is do Black Lives Matter while they're alive? Because that's a question I've been asking. We all want to come and protest once somebody's dead, and we'll do all of this stuff and say Black Lives Matter. But how do they matter when there's nothing else that they can give, to this community? Right. And so we got to make sure that our Black Lives matter while we're still alive.
Right. Specifically Black men too. I like to add that, because a lot of times, the Black man life doesn't typically matter a lot until something happens on camera and it becomes a trend or popular on social media. So we got to make sure that it matters all the time.
All the time.
I'm just searching the chat to see if there was any questions before we wind this thing down. You guys, again, make sure that you are hitting the like button, share this out on your social media platforms, subscribe to this channel, and click the notification bell so you can be reminded when we go live with new content. We do the Black Business Showcase every Wednesday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and our Sunday show where we cover current events and other important issues pertaining to the Black community on SincereluvdagodCast. That's Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Time. So make sure y'all tap in with us for that as well. And let me see here. Yeah, I think that about does it. Nicely, girl. You want to start winding it down now?
Yeah. So we're going to wind it down. We have 2 more questions for you. First one, what does freedom mean to you?
What does freedom mean to me? Freedom means that I can be me unapologetically and do what I want to do without the consequence of someone else taking my life or restricting my life.
Right. And so this is the part where I got to put you on the Summer Jam screen. How do I do that again? Okay. Oh, there it goes. Boom. Feel like we ain't been here in a minute. Nicely. Well, we got the last couple episodes been canceled. That's why. And so now you're on the Summer Jam screen. You have the microphone. The entire Black community can hear what it is that you have to say. What parting words would you like to leave us with tonight?
So, if we don't do it, who will? Our children deserve so much better than what this system is doing to them. We have to be able to expose this system for who they are, which is a kidnapping gang that is coming into our communities and taking our children away. Like, we have to be the solution. Let's end this. Think about your grandchildren. Think about your great-grandchildren. Think about people that are not even on this earth before. It's going to be the work that we do now that changes the generation after us. And so what I would tell people is this. The operation is to stop CPS. But the real operation is to heal our communities. Because only when we show up healed do we really make change. And so the work starts in our own homes. The work starts with our own children. Like, we have to be able to do better out here if we expect them to stop coming into our communities. And so continue to help, support Operation Stop CPS so we can show up and do the work, right? Do the work of what is required.
Man, powerful. Oh, man.
Oh, now, Black Mothers March, May 8th. Get to Washington, D.C. Get there.
Yes.
Register. Make sure you register.
What's the website for that again?
BlackMothersMarch.com.
BlackMothersMarch.com. Make sure you guys register for that. And y'all down there in the DMV area and all of that. I know we got some viewers from that area. So definitely tap in, take some pictures, tag us and all that. Let us know. Let us know what's popping.
And we'll keep sharing the flyer as well on our social medias. We encourage everyone else here to do it as well, because somebody's going to pull up. We encourage you to pull up again if you're in DC and the surrounding areas. Pull up on May 8th. Bring your children.
Yes.
I just want to ask, do you do a lot of public speaking?
Me?
Yeah.
Nope. Publicly on Instagram.
Nah, but you good though. I
appreciate it.
Nah, for sure. You got great energy. I don't like to use the word articulate, but you express your thoughts very clearly. You know what I'm saying? And I think that you are definitely built for what it is that you're doing.
I appreciate
that. Appreciate you. We appreciate you for tapping in with us and bringing this issue to light. This was another great episode of the Black Business Showcase. And if you ever need us again, just holler back. This is what we do. We here.
Well, I want to take the time also to appreciate you both, for giving Black businesses, an opportunity and really, bringing to light, problems in our communities. Because if we're not talking about it, like we don't know about it. And so, again, I just want to appreciate you guys and thank you for sharing space with me and allowing me this opportunity.
See, that's what I mean. Like,
thank you.
It sounded like that was great.
This is exactly what we did it for, to bring a voice to the voiceless, if you will. A lot of times, as far as Black businesses, we would support if we knew they existed. A lot of times we don't know that these businesses exist, right? And so we started off with just once a week. And the response was so big that we're now, doing the show twice a week. We probably could do all days of the week. We just limited, to twice a week because we still have work and stuff. But the need was so great, that, Black businesses like we here, we need more support. A lot of people just don't know. And so when we know, I know for me, I go out my way to support. And that's what the Godcast is about, is making sure that our people know that our people are there.
Yes, most definitely.
Yes, indeed.
Power to the people. Most definitely.
Yes, indeed, family. So again, you guys make sure you are following us. I am at Sincereluvdagod on all social media platforms. My co-host is at Nicety Girl with the number 1 on Instagram and without the number 1 on all other platforms. And make sure you are following our guest at Operation Stop CPS. And again, like we always tell y'all, family, we are not the master teachers. We are only the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us. We'll see y'all on Sunday. Peace, family.
Bye, y'all. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Do for self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious. So I move.